You know, with the cool weather upon us, it's really your time to be able to show off and start wearing some fragrances that you know people are really going to love and enjoy. Now, don't get me wrong, you can do this in the summertime with your fresher, citrusy, aquatic-based scents. But with fall and winter time, you can get a little bit more creative. You can express yourself in different ways because you can choose fragrances that ultimately are going to have a bit more character to them overall. But you can still choose ones that are going to have people just loving how you smell and wanting to know more about what you're wearing. Because most of these here don't have that typical traditional smell to them. They go a step beyond that. So if you want to stand out and just have people melting at your feet because they want to know how you smell and what you're wearing so they can buy it for their partners, this is going to be the video for you. So I will provide links to all these down below to discounters. If I'm talking about prices, it's going to be through discounters. So make sure you use those links. And I will also be posting deals continuously on my community tab. Any new subscribers that are watching this, which by the way, if you are a new subscriber or a new viewer rather, make sure you subscribe. Like 48% of the people who watch my videos are not even subscribed. So take a second, hit that button. See you on the community tab where I'm posting deals every day. You can save a lot of money over there. Let's get it started off with Lana Weed de l'Homme. This is going to be the Eau Electrique version. It's got apple, geranium, vanilla, and tonka bean. The way I describe this one is it has a little bit of the Versace Eros DNA, but it's more grown up and a bit more mature, you know, even more so than something like Eros Parfum. Like it sways away from that DNA more than you would think. And what this also has is some of that original L'Homme DNA in here, which is partly giving it a bit more of that mature smell that I'm referencing here, because after all, it is a L'Homme flanker. And this was one that got shunned in the community when it first came out, you know, just didn't get a whole lot of love. People didn't pick up on it. It actually got kind of hated on a little bit. And I really didn't give it all that much attention in the beginning either. And it's one of those situations where now once they're not making it anymore, I'm starting to realize that I actually like how this one is quite a bit. Like it's truly enjoyable. Love how it smells. Has a good amount of depth to it. It's got a nice character to it. You know, again, it's Eros inspired, but it has its own twist with that mature L'Homme DNA in here. Some other changes as well. But I find it to be quite fascinating. And one thing that's for sure is that it definitely has a lot of mass appeal to it. Next up, we have Cartier Declaration. This is the Parfum version here. A big fan of this one as well. Very woods heavy. So we're going in a different direction. For my audience out there that's a bit more mature, you want something more refined and more masculine overall, then you're going to want to go with something like this one here. Dry, woody vetiver going on in here. With a little bit of this kind of underlying sweetness to it. So it's not straight up woods and that's it. You've got some other variations in here going on to make it a little bit more interesting overall. And one thing I like about Cartier is their fragrances are always of great quality and they're always unique. You know, you never really smell a Cartier fragrance anywhere else unless it's another brand or another clone house cloning it or something. But they're usually pretty good about putting out things that are just new and unique overall. And this is one of those. Really nice mass appeal on the right person. If you're someone that's younger, teenager, early mid-20s, then you're going to want to look for other things to be the most efficient. But if you're someone who, again, is a bit older, more mature, you want something to fit that part, go for this one. And kind of going back to the younger side now, we have 212 VIP Black by Carolina Herrera. It's got absinthe, vanilla, anise, and lavender among some other sweeter notes. But it is a sweet fragrance, and I think it's really, really great. Especially for the price. It's not breaking the bank on discounters, so it's relatively easy to pick up. Even the presentation, although it's not that big of a deal, scent is all that matters, but the presentation is nice. You do get a magnetic cap. The bottle does look sleek. You know, it looks classy, and so that's always a plus, you know, for some people. A nice gradient here. It's a pretty harsh cutoff, as you can see. Maybe not so much on camera, but yeah, there you go. It's literally just drops off from black to, you know, clear pretty quickly there. But again, the smell, very nice, very sweet, holds up great in the cooler weather. If it's a chilly, kind of rainy fall day, you can bet that this one's going to get the job done. So next up, we have Lalique Linsumi. Okay, this one's got basil, rum, clary sage, and woody notes in here. I believe on discounters around $36 $8 for 100 ml like this. And again, this is an eau de toilette. So price point is really not bad at all. Lalique, they put out some great stuff. They're known for the Encre Noirs, which are also very affordable, a little bit cheaper than this in some instances. And those are great quality scents for the price. Now this one here is interesting because it gets compared a little bit to Kilian Straight to Heaven. And you know what? When I first saw that comparison, I was thinking, yeah, right, there's no way. And the first couple times I wore this one, I didn't pick up on it. But after I've dove into it more, after I've dived into it more, one of those two, I start to see where people are coming from. The rum woods combination and what almost smells like a bit of patchouli maybe gets you a little bit similar-ish to the Kilian. I don't want you to rush out and buy this as a clone of that one because it's not. But similar to a slight bit, maybe a little bit. And so for that, I do really think it smells nice, even on its own. You know, it still is kind of its own scent here, and it still smells great. For the price point, you can't go wrong. And because it has some of that boozy sweetness, it really has a lot of mass appeal. This one finally came back into stock. I've been watching it. I was getting worried. I thought it was discontinued, but it doesn't look to be because the price is normal on this one. Issey Miyaki Nuit Desi Noir Argent. I started talking about this one, what was it? Not even last winter, but the winter before, back before we moved. I discovered this one in the fall, winter time, and it was one of those deals where it was a complete blind buy, wasn't expecting a lot, and I ended up getting a ton. This is great bang for your buck. It's got leather, myrrh, and olibanum, very rich, very resinous, very sweet, and one interesting thing about this one is it has this fruitiness. And it's really bizarre because I don't think there's any fruits listed anyway. But off that top, it's got this candied sweetness and this fruitiness. It's almost gourmand. This is impressive. Again, there's even a little bit of a smokiness in here from the leather. So you're getting this sugary, candied sweetness, and then the smoky, rich leather. There's dimension to this one. It's not a two-dimensional flat scent that just kind of stays the same the whole time. You've got multiple layers. It's fun to sit down and digest this one and break it down and test it because every time you smell it, you pick on something a little bit different. But again, it's back in stock. You can get it for a good price, under $60, which is a great price point for this one, especially because there's nothing else out there like it in this category, price category that is. And also mass appeal is surprisingly good. There's something kind of mysterious about this one that I think people really gravitate towards. Now, this here is one of the best clones I've smelled. It impressed me in such a big way. I've done a review on it already, and me saying that probably gave it away if you know the titles of my videos and you're someone who really studies the videos because maybe you like them, I don't know. But it's Paris Corner Sadrat Essence. Yeah, Sadrat Essence. This is my first time featuring it in a video other than a review. And as I mentioned, truly impressive. Now this is a pure straight concentration parfum. And so immediately that was going to raise the question, well, is this well, is this a clone of Intense Sadrat Boisé Parfum or the EDP? In my opinion, it's a clone of the EDP, but we kind of get the best of both worlds because it comes in a parfum concentration. It doesn't have any of that oud, the slight amount of oud that the Intense has. It doesn't go in that deep of a direction. The Intense really hammers it home and goes heavier. This one's still fruitier, fresher, lighter, more so the EDP. But for the price, it is incredibly good. I mean, seriously, there's something about this, the way they did it, that just smells amazing. I mean, this could compete with $50, $60, $70 fragrances with its quality and delivery here. Now, I understand Sadrat Boisé isn't that expensive. That's kind of a common theme that was going on when talking about this one. But still, not everyone has the money laying around to bridge that gap. It may sound easy for some. It may just be like, oh, it's a no-brainer. Just get the original Sadrat Boisé. Not everyone is in that position. You got to think, from my standpoint, I have to accommodate to everyone. I feel like I've gotten pretty good at trying to cover a whole bunch of different price ranges and people's different scenarios. If you are on a budget, you cannot go wrong with this. Really big fan of this one. Another one that kind of got dismissed, so to speak, in the community. This is Calvin Klein Defy. This one's got vetiver, clary sage, lavender, this nice fruity apple. What it reminds me of is YSL-Y EDP off the top, but then very vetiver heavy in the dry down, very much so. So this is one of those situations where if you're not wearing it on skin and testing it properly, you're gonna get yourself in trouble because you're not gonna be giving an accurate representation of the scent when you go and leave your reviews and comments elsewhere. Because one of the main things you see is that it's super generic and smells just like YSL-Y, EDT, EDP, whatever. Get this on skin, get it into the dry down, vetiver. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no vetiver in YSL-Y EDP or any of the flankers, at least not to any sort of prominent level. And so that's kind of the direction that this one goes, very woods heavy in the base, focused on that. That vetiver accord smells very clean, very fresh, very wearable. And as this one continues to creep down in price, it's gonna be a great pickup to just smell great to everybody. All right, next up, Wanted, the Most Wanted Parfum by Azara. I almost said Wanted by Night because this bottle looks similar. It's kind of confusing how they did these flankers. I've talked about that before, but you know, whatever. Ginger, bourbon, vanilla, and woody notes are the only three that they give you here, so they're kind of going that direction. Truly amazing. It's got this fizzy grape soda smell off the top, which sounds kind of weird, but it has it. Almost kind of like that Dunhill Icon opening. It's got a little bit of that. It's gonna be from the ginger here in this one, and I really like it. Almost gives it, again, kind of that gourmand, edible, even though you don't eat grape soda. I guess you can eat grapes, right? But it just kind of gourmand, sweet, delicious smell to it. The bourbon vanilla is important to note. There is a hint of a booziness to it. Just some nice woody base here in this one to give it that masculine touch and some sweetness. I would take this over the Most Wanted, the black bottle. I would take it over that. Much prefer it. And it's head-to-head with Wanted by Night for me. This one they really did well with. Running down to the end, we have our Moth Club de Nuit Intense Man Limited Edition Parfum. Isn't that a name? You better hope no one asks you what you're wearing when you're wearing this one. Spoiler alert, they are. And so that means each time you're going to have to puke out the name of this one unless you just say Club de Nuit Intense Man. But even that is a sequence and people are still going to be like, a Club de Nuit what? It's one of those weird things. So be ready to just say, you know what, here, give me your phone, I'll write it down for you. Probably be easier. Aventus Clone, old news, right? Club de Nuit Intense Man. They're Aventus clones. I started out with the EDT before I had Aventus, right? I ended up getting the EDP for testing purposes later on after that came out. And the Parfum and the Parfum Limited Edition and even the pure Parfum oil, I believe is what it is. Fragrance By had it. I finally was able to get one of those. I think that's what's called the oil. And for me, this is the one to get, this limited edition Parfum. It's the smoothest, it's the smokiest, it's the pineapple-iest and the juiciest and the fruitiness, and just the best one by a long shot. Performance is great, quality is exceptionally better than the earlier versions, the EDT, EDP, and it's Aventus DNA. You're going to be pulling compliments all time. And last up, we have Tom Ford Ombre Leather. This one has leather in it, okay? Pretty easy. If you haven't tried Ombre Leather, I encourage you to do so. If you can handle a very wearable leather and you got some money laying around, it's blind buy safe. And again, that is if you already have experience with smelling leather and fragrances, okay? If you like Tuscan leather, this will be a no problem for you. But if you've smelled some other leather fragrances where it's used in there to a relatively mild extent, then you can like this one. It's not as strong as Tuscan leather. It's more wearable, it's more versatile. It's more mass pleasing, it's easier to wear. But one thing's for sure, this DNA works great for mass appeal. And that's kind of why I think they brought this over into the signature line, because it's one that's gonna do well, I think, in stores for people, for the average consumer who's, having a little bit more money to throw around and they want to get themselves a premium product, but they're not a fragrance expert, right? I think this one will really work well with that crowd, that audience, that piece of market share, whatever. And so it's a great one to have around for a nice, wearable, but very high quality premium leather scent. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. 10 fragrances that just smell great to everyone. They're guaranteed to get you positive feedback, but also these are still gonna set you apart and be different. This is your time to shine and express yourself a little bit differently and step away from the aquatics and the freshies that a lot of people were probably wearing this summer, even outside the community. Links will be down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.